Hello there survivors, and welcome back to another video in ARK Survival Ascended. And with the 5.5 engine update, we also got a huge amount of new building structures, which of course is a very exciting development, and I definitely hope this is a trend that we'll see continue in the future, because new toys is always really fun. And of course I had to go around and try out a lot of these new structures, and I did that in these Japanese inspired builds. And if you're not exactly aware of what got added, we got a lot of extensions to the current structures. So instead of just having ramps, we now also have ramp corners, so you can easily use them as roofs. All the pillars got updates as well. You now have half pillars, both for the normal ones and the thin variants. We also have half railings, quarter roofs, quarter ramps, and quarter stairs, which is amazing. And it basically gives a lot of new freedom. Besides all those additions, we also got a lot of the structures that we were still missing from the thatch tier, which is really good for variety of structures. And for all these new ramp additions, we also got a new shallow sloped wall, which basically means there's a lot of new options that are now possible within ARK without needing mods like Architect Structures Remastered that added a lot of these pieces before. Now we have them in the main base game, and that's why I decided to do a few of these Japanese inspired builds to kind of get the hang of that. So we have a very simple little starter building, which is just a tiny little house that you will be able to build quite easily using a lot of the thatch tier buildings. Then we actually have a little bit more of an elaborate starter base with some stables and a dino pen included that would definitely serve you well in the early phases of ARK. And then I also built a pagoda, actually based on Assassin's Creed Shadows, this one. And this one is designed to be used as an aviary, but it also has a basement that you could turn easily into your main base of operations. And as always, if you enjoy seeing these new builds and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course feel free to leave suggestions for future builds that you would like to see down in the comments below. And also let me know if you would like to see a full step-by-step build tutorial for the 3 builds that I'm showing in today's video. So yeah, I'm here on Australia's and this beautiful blossom biome. It's not actually in a new region, it's all the way in the first region that we got right over here on the map. But yeah, it's of course a perfect little biome to do some Japanese inspired builds with these beautiful blossom trees all around us. And this is the little simple starter home that I built using mostly the thatch tier. You actually do not need any mods to build the main structure. It's all just using normal things, a little bit of paint and a little bit of the frontier skins here and there as well. And then additionally, of course, I've used some JVH landscaping for the plants around, as well as the J cosmetics, which is like a Japanese inspired cosmetic, which adds these lovely skins for torches and the grill that are very nice to combine with a build like this. Just very nicely fit in the vibes right over here. So yeah, there we go. It's a very nice and simple building, mostly using these new structures, the thatch tier, which looks absolutely amazing with the very bamboo looking structures, as well as these new thatch ramps and the thatch roof corners or ramp corners, which are really nice. The new half pillars that you can see, very nice addition. And then the only downside I've found so far is that the textures are still different for roofs and ramps. So if you want to go from a ramp into the roof, it doesn't quite match up. So in this case I used stairs instead because I felt like those matched a little bit better. Of course that does mean there's a little bit of gaps between them, but I actually think that works quite well for this design. And I've painted this all up to make it a little bit nicer looking, and you know, a little bit more variation in the colors. And then actually this white is just adobe structures painted in the silver color, which works really well too. And then these new railings for the thatch tier are very nice as some custom windows. So yeah, we have a very nice little home in here that we can enter. We have a nice little table to hang out, a little bit of storage and crafting stuff, the little forge over here, and then some more hidden storage right back here. And then we have a tiny little staircase using these new quarter stairs, and I see that I accidentally also painted these because I mess painted everything. But yeah, then we have a little cozy bedroom up here with these very nice and big windows. We got the cryo fridge there, you know, just a little bedroom, and then a beautiful little balcony to walk around on as well and to enjoy the views of your surroundings. And in a beautiful biome like this, that's always a great addition. So this was like my first attempt at using these new structures, and it's so freeing to finally be able to have this without needing any mods, and it definitely will give you so much more options to just really detail and go all out with your builds. And after I've done this one, I was like, well, I'm ready to take it to the next step and design a little bit more of a practical base. So this one right over here is a little bit of a bigger building. So yeah, this includes everything from some stables here to the side where you can have some of your early game tames, or I mean anything that really fits inside here. You can have it quite safely. So there's 3 different pens in here that you could have some dinos in to safely keep them here or breed them or whatever. And I've decorated a little bit with the Western deco for the hay and all the needs that you might have for your breeding projects, including of course the new egg incubator as well, which probably not very starter material, but you know, just wanted to decorate it all. And then we have some nice plants around using JV8's landscaping, as well as these pathways from Ferry's pathways, which are really nice to add some surroundings to your building. And then we have the main building, which is of course where all the survival stuff happens. And then we actually also have a dino pen right here to this side, which houses our T-Rex, just to kind of showcase that you could even have some bigger creatures in the safety of this build. I quite like the way that this one turned out, so definitely let me know if you would like to see a full step-by-step tutorial for this one. I think I probably will do for all these builds, because I really enjoy working on these and creating these new curves with all the new pieces that we got available to us. And yeah, you got a really nice build, and oh, this area is so nice. I've always wanted to do a build here, and this update with the new pieces really inspired me to just go crazy and finally do another Japanese inspired build. So yeah, we have quite a nice building here. We can of course go inside and check out what it's like. We have a little entrance here at the back actually that connects these tables to the main part of the base. So yeah, we have the different stables in here, and of course we can also walk around. So even when the gates are closed, you can easily get around to all of your different stables in here with these doorways at the back. And I've added in some beams as details as well. And then of course we can go through this little hallway all the way into the main part of the base, where we have a nice big forge. We've got some storage and crafting stations. This is actually the grinder from Castle Keeps and Forts, which is a really cool mod of course for medieval builds. But I just kind of liked the animations of the place, so figured I'd use that instead of a normal grinder. And then we got some more crafting stations and storage over here, and the lovely decorations of the Easter event, which is definitely a nice little touch. And then of course we have some nice windows. We actually have the door right here in the corner, so you can get to the dino pen over here. Of course, fits in some bigger tames or just multiple smaller ones. I just really wanted to make sure that this base design, even though it's like early game-ish design, you could definitely have a decent amount of creatures safely and breed them without having to worry too much. So over here we've got some more storage and crafting in this little layer with some awesome windows, again using these new thatch railings, which are really cool, and the thatch pillars, which really fit the vibe as well. And then we can go to the second part of this room. We have a little lounge area to hang out in and some lovely decorations, as well as a little kitchen slash bar area over here to just hang out. And then we actually have access to a rather large balcony over here that you can enjoy the views of the surroundings. Easily also park some flies up here, of course. We have a little outdoor kitchen here as well, again using the J Cosmetics for a really cool grill, and all of these really cool lamps of course, which are the standing torches, which are really cool. And then we can continue to go up with this little staircase right over here, which will lead us right into the bedroom. So we've got a little respawn point here with more storage and nice little table to hang out, nice little window here as well to let in some light. And then the second half of this is kind of like the attic, where you could easily also park up some flyers. We've got some additional storage up here as well, and just some cozy attic vibes. And yeah, I'm just really happy with the way that this all turned out, the curves that you can now create with the different pieces. The stone tier is my favorite for this, because then the ramp and the roof and everything actually has the same kind of textures, so it actually flows very nicely into each other. That's why I switched to the stone tier here instead of the thatch tier for the roof that I used for the first little building. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way this one turned out. And then for the final one that I just finished right over here is the big aviary pagoda, which I really like the way this turned out. I did build a pagoda way before, but this way it made it easier to get some really cool builds in, using some of these new thatch structures that really fit the vibe, of course, with the bamboo aesthetic, but also again creating these curves for the roofs, having these sloped wall pieces that are now the shallow slope wall pieces that are really nice, as well as of course being able to go from these ramps into normal roofs to create even more of a curvature. And again, there's no mods needed for this build. I've used all the normal vanilla pieces and then just used paint to make them look a little bit cooler. So we got the big pagoda here. I did of course use some mods for the decorations, like JVH landscaping for the rocks and the plants around the place to kind of hide the little basement layer that I decided to add, because I wanted this staircase up to the pagoda. And then we've got some western deco inside as well some cosmetics again, of course, for these torches, as well as some of these statues that you can see over there. But yeah, I really like the way this one turned out in the end. So it is designed as an aviary, so plenty of flyers. And again, I also wanted to make sure that you could utilize it as your main base if you're not building anything else. So you do have a decent amount of room on the first layer here for the bigger structures, as you can see, and you can have some additional storage and crafting here as well. But the main purpose is actually the basement. You could utilize that as a really convenient survival location. As you can see, there's quite a lot of space in here, so you could easily have a lot of your survival stuff down here. It's only too high, so the bigger structures obviously needed to go up to the next layer, but you do have plenty of space here for like a very big storage system and all the survival things that you need just some nice space for. So I didn't really decorate this too much, because I wanted to make this a little bit more realistic and more practical. So that's like the practical part of the base. But then we of course have the aviary part of the base. So if we take the stairs up to the next layer, we have a nice little layer where we could have some flyers. You could do your breeding in here. We have a nice barn door here at the side, so you could easily fly in and out, even some of your bigger creatures, as you can see. And of course, on all these balconies, you can actually park a bunch of flyers as well. We have some lovely windows with some plants in there to really get that greenery and life to the place, which I really like. I actually have double layers for these roofs. As you can see underneath, we still have that bamboo aesthetic, because I really like the way that looks. Then we have a little quarter wall layer, and then we actually have the main roof part, which I think is really cool. And again, the walls are like a wooden layer at the bottom. Then we got the normal adobes, and this is another adobe layer, but just flipped around and painted some of the regions to get that look, which in my opinion works really well. And I just really like the way that this one turned out. So yeah, besides that big layer with the barn doors, which is definitely like the main layer you can park some flyers on, we have another layer if we go up with the stairs. This one is more for like pterodon sized creatures, because you need to be able to fly between these two pillars. I basically opened up the windows for this layer, and that's how you would fly in and out, so you could have some more smaller flies in here. RGs actually don't fit between two pillars. I think pterodons do. Owls might fit. I don't know. You'd have to try that out, but otherwise, of course, you could always leave out the pillars on the side, because then I believe that RGs will fit. Yeah, just like the weird hitboxes that they have. But yeah, you can see another nice layer that you could utilize. And of course, you also still have a whole layer of the balcony to park plenty of flyers around, which is definitely a lot of extra space that you can have. And then of course we can go up another layer with these stairs all the way to the top, where we have like a little bedroom. If you wanted to use this as your base, this would probably be where your bed, your respawn point would be. A little bit of storage around, just a cozy little bedroom. And of course another layer with the balcony where you could park flyers. And you know, I've got the big statue from the Castle Craft Structures custom cosmetic, which is really cool with all the statues it adds. And then we have a final layer of the roof and a nice piece there in the middle. But yeah, I've really had a lot of fun utilizing these new structures that got added. As I said, I really hope we get more and more of those. I would really love to see some of these ramps and roofs get the same texture, so that you could choose basically whether you want to have a ramp that looks like the roof or like a ramp. That would be really cool if they could add that variety to them. Not sure if we'll get that. Hopefully we will, or at least if cosmetic makers keep that in mind, it would be really nice if you have the variants of the skins, so you could easily skin them to look like a roof with a nice smooth curve and that. But you can see, even without cosmetics and without mods, just using some paint, you can really transform the main structures of the base game into something really fun. I think that also was a really nice fun challenge, because I've been using a lot of cosmetics, of course, and it's kind of refreshing to see you can easily still do some really cool and exciting builds without needing any mods or cosmetics, and just, you know, using the base structures and some paint to get some really cool builds going. And especially in a beautiful spot like this, it just all works perfectly together. I can't believe that this is now just a normal biome on an official map that we have in ARK. It's so beautiful. I mean, the biome was here a long time, but I finally managed to do a build that really fits in here perfectly. So yeah, again, I hope you enjoy, and if you want to see any tutorials for these builds, let me know down in the comments below. I probably will be making them, because I really enjoyed myself working on these styles, and I've always enjoyed these styles. I've done a build like this a long time ago, and I always wanted to revisit to do more, and this was the perfect excuse with all these extra builds pieces that we now have available, which will really help get some more creative shapes and just really flow very nicely, especially for the roof. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like these builds. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you again soon in the next video or stream. For now, goodbye.